All right, and we're hot. I think finally, kind of, sort of. Hello, everyone. Welcome to ShiftLess, trying things with some new technology today. Try it out with the boys before we start bringing on guests, but hopefully when we get some guests, this might be a more appropriate way to do things. And as long as I don't throw my hardware all over the concrete, things might be okay. So today we have with us Chef Brad Green. Say hello to the audience, Brad.
What's going on?
There it is. There it is. And we have another guest. Can you say hello, sir?
Hello, sir.
And keep talking until that camera comes over.
Keep talking till the camera comes over. It's great to see you guys. I'm here.
Oh, there he is. DJ. Right. So this will take a little bit of getting used to. So this is going to be more conversational than usual. It won't be the professional studio environment that we are accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to like not be as professional.
Don't say shit or damn, or we can say shit or damn.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We just can't talk about drugs.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, all right. I'm leaving.
All right.
What a week, guys.
What? And it's not over yet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we still have people out there.
Today's my son's birthday.
Your birthday, Gage.
22 years old.
Happy birthday, Gage.
Yeah. Just just a matter of fact.
October's like just full of birthdays.
Yeah.
I know so many people with birthdays in October for
a good
whatever reasons.
It's a good month.
Yeah. My mom and my son's birthday is in October.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. So I guess, Jess, you're alluding to Rat Week is technically still in process. We have one rider still out that went out on the ITT, Matt Golson. Is he rolling yet this morning? Did you notice?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Okay.
He's right outside of Bard.
All right. So he overnighted at Russell's truck stop. So he's on the last 80-mile stretch or so, something along those lines.
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably about 80, 85 miles. You can sleep at Russell's. I guess if you just find maybe he slept in a diesel cab with somebody.
Hey,
paid him for it. You got an extra.
Lot Lizard Matt.
I was gonna say maybe he dressed up like a lot lizard frog for Halloween.
He'd look good in a skirt.
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff at Russell's truck stop.
Okay.
I know Dana slept in the chapel for a couple hours on his FKT attempt.
Okay.
Or not attempt, his FKT run.
That place is so big, I didn't even realize there was a chapel.
Well, there's museums, there's chapels.
It was kind of
there's
a Buc-ee's before there was a Buc-ee's.
In a way.
It's not as big, but it's not as big as a Buc-ee's, but it's definitely bigger than any other non-Buc-ee's gas station / truck stop.
I am a fan of Russell's truck stop myself.
Yeah.
So Matt Golson is chugging away. So this will be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. So no, it's what's 7 plus 5? 12. Day 12, I believe, is the way it works. So fingers crossed. Hopefully everything's working out for him. We don't want to be premature here, but it looks like he's on course to finish. He did get his first dose of the Red Roads this time around. He said this was either his fifth. I think this is his fifth attempt, or he attempted it 5 times before, and this is but this was the first time he made it to the Red Roads. Open heart surgery, not too terribly long ago. I guess he had like a 98% blockage, had the stent put in.
Wow.
And that's, I think that's why he didn't make it last time.
Yeah.
So,
and then the run from Russell's truck stop to San Juan, like jogging, running for an extended period of time. That's the longest stretch. That's the 64-mile stretch. That is the longest portion of the Rat
without
in between
amenity.
Yeah. Okay. Thankfully, though, I'm sure. Look at the temps here. I'm sure it's nice and cool. So it's 50 degrees in Tucumcari right now. So you don't have to pack 3 liters of water like it would be a 90-degree day. So that's good.
Barely 60 here.
Yeah, it's nice here.
Yeah.
How are we gonna have all these mosquitoes though? I guess because you have a pool back here.
Are those mosquitoes, or are they some other bug?
I'm pretty sure it's a mosquito.
I don't know.
They haven't been swarming me. That's all I know.
Same.
But they're all over the place out there. I thought it'd be too cool for mosquitoes. I don't know. Oh, now they're starting to come in.
Yeah.
Now they're starting to come in. And evidently we're going to get a good bit of rain this week.
Yeah, it looks
weekend.
Like Friday we're supposed to get 1.5 inches.
Oh, yeah.
Which wouldn't suck.
We need it.
And all day Saturday.
We need
All
it.
day Saturday?
That's what it's showing right now.
Last I heard it was going to be something like that, but I don't pay that close of attention. But I will say this, probably the longest 12-day period I can think of in rat existence without weather being too terribly much of a factor, aside from a little warm at times.
So hot take on packing for the type of temperatures we had. It was a lot less, I don't want to say stressful, but I had a little bit of, not concern, but what would be a word between stressful and not stressful? Like I wasn't stressed, but it was an element of concern to where it was predicted to be so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad and I talked about this multiple, like he and I probably talked about this particular item more than anything was cool weather clothing. Because I even talked to you guys, like I didn't even want to bring my sleeping bag. I thought, well, maybe I'll just bring my liner or just a sleeping bag and not the liner. But that one off chance that the cold front comes through or you get rain, you want to have it in your kit. But yet it was literally the same thing every day, every morning. It got progressively cooler as I got further west. Like it was all like every day the high was like a degree or two.
A degree or two less.
The humidity was a little less. That first day was a little, I think it was the second day was pretty steamy.
Yeah.
But then from a temperature wise, the day that I went through Arrowhead was definitely the hardest day because my average speed was identical to the tailwind. So even though it was only 86, 88 degrees outside, it felt like 106.
That was the day you said hottest 86 degrees ever.
Yeah. Because I was riding at the exact same, my average speed for that day was 13 and a half moving speed, which was exactly what the wind was. So pretty much the entire day you're riding with no breeze in your face. But so going back to the temperatures, like I would have rather it had, okay, we're going to have a couple of days of 85 degree weather and then it's going to get in the 60s and then it's going to get in the 50s because then you know for sure what to pack. And I hate overpacking. That's one of the things that like, I don't get stressed or concerned about not packing enough. It's like, well, I don't know if I want this. I don't want to breathe, right? Ultimately, I brought a pair of long johns, top and bottom, that I thought I would need maybe at night to sleep in. And I didn't need that at night because I would get, you're out in the sun all day long. You get into air conditioning, body starts to rapidly cool. But yeah, that was the thing. It was crazy. Like the weather was almost perfect. Need I say? I mean, if the highs were 75 during the day, that would be great.
That would technically be perfect, but to string that many days together, is it worth giving up 15 degrees, and without it being overly cold in the dark as well.
Yeah.
So it's, probably the fairest compromise across the board, which we'll touch on it in a bit. I mean, obviously that contributed tremendously to Justin's run. That said, we need to bring the audience up to speed on Caleb's run.
Okay.
So what? Last we talked, Brad was breaking down his run and how he'd been going side by side with you for a while until he wasn't anymore. So that was Oklahoma, where y'all went.
Yeah. Colbert.
Started going separate ways. Colbert, Oklahoma, and Caleb, why don't you tell us of your rat experience from that point on?
Yeah, let me pulling up my Strava real quick so I can remember which days I actually stopped in. So,
and if anybody thinks I need to grab cinnamon leaf oil, let me know.
I'm covered. I'm pretty good. Yeah. So Brad and I had made an agreement that if either one of us couldn't carry on for whatever reason, to that other person to carry on, keep going. So once we got him kind of settled at the Bolero in Colbert, I went ahead and pushed forward, and I made it to Lindsay that night. Stayed at the Lindsay Inn. I ended up with, what was that day? Oh, that day was only 119. So, yeah, I came out of Colbert, kept running through, went through Denison and then Gainesville, right?
Mm-hmm. Denison, Whitesboro,
Pottsboro. So had a good night's rest in Lindsay. Got in a little bit late. Ended up having a incredible hamburger at the Dieter Brothers. Yeah.
Dieter Brothers.
Dieter. I call it Dieter. It's definitely not Dieter.
It's not dieting food. That's for so Dieter Brothers has a good burger.
After the day I had, yeah.
Okay.
I would say
I've never had Dieter.
Plus they were super nice. So that's a plus too.
That's always
they were very nice. They were, you walk in and the bar is right there. You walk in and there's literally 3 feet and the bar is right in front of the front door. And so he was Mr. Dieter or whoever it is that owns it. he was there and immediately wanted to know what I was up to because I came in filthy and with a bicycle helmet on and all that other stuff. So, yeah, had a good night's rest. Got up the next morning. That day was pretty uneventful, but it was a big push. That was Lindsay to Electra.
So real quick before I forget, what's your opinion of the Lindsay Inn? I've never stayed there.
Oh, if I had 3 thumbs, I would put 3 thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah, clean rooms. The reviews on, because I booked it probably, I don't remember if I booked it beforehand, maybe on one of my stops at a gas station, or maybe I just rolled. I think I just rolled in. But the reviews were mixed. But some people's reviews, it depends on how bougie people are and what their expectations. Cold AC, clean bed, clean room, clean shower. What else?
Yeah.
So, and they were super nice. The next morning was about 165 miles pushed to Electra. In years past, I think the route went directly into Electra. This one came in through the south. So I had only a 3.5-4 mile deviation from the route on 1811, which was, I guess, and I mentioned this to y'all, but I in joking, but maybe it's true, but these small towns in West Texas that have a lot of oil field business and industry out there, I guess that's how they have such nice paved roads. Because you get out there and every single highway is like glass out there. Yeah. This 1811 felt like I was the first person to ever set foot on it. Like, wasn't much of a shoulder, but it didn't matter. I rode the entire 3.5-4 miles and never had a person pass me from behind or in front. So got into Electra. I would say, the guy that runs the RV park there, his name is Anthony Lynn, but he's A. Lynn Properties. I would say he would be a friend of the Rat in Electra if you need. He's got an RV park with cabins, and then he's got a couple of Airbnbs throughout the town. And matter of fact, I rode into his RV park, not realizing that I had actually booked one of his rental homes outside of Airbnb that was about 4 blocks away. I walked up and typed in the code to the cabin that was in the photo of what my reservations looked like, which ended up, that photo was just his general cabin photo, right? So I walked up to the one with the blue door, opened it up, beds unmade. It was like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, suitcases everywhere, men's and women's clothes. And I immediately shut the door. And I thought, this is like 10 o'clock at night. I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm going to get shot. I'm going to get proper shot. Yeah. So I quickly shut the door, ran off the porch, ran over and sat down at a picnic table. And I called the guy and he goes, oh yeah, you're at the wrong place. I'll be there in just a second. So I thought he was going to just show me the right place. So he threw my bike in the back of his truck and drove me literally 3 blocks, being super nice, to the actual place I stayed in. It ended up being a really nice 2-bedroom house for $100 a night, which is cheap.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I had a good night's rest. And that next morning, that was the 111 to Quanah. That was where I was starting to try to figure out how I could get caught up. My goal was to try to get caught up in the normal stage schedule, right? So, but for, people who haven't done the Rat, if you're either doing the stage or you're trying to, you're not going for an FKT, you're trying to figure out how you can get in and out of these towns, especially late at night, even if they have amenities, if they're open. Most have an all subs that's open 24. So I made the decision to stop in Quanah. That hotel was, man, it's okay though. It got me what I needed to do. It was the Best Western there in town, but there was a Dollar General and a proper grocery store next door. So I ate good, got rehydrated, and then let's see, that next day, going back to the Lindsay to Electra, that's the one that took me around. That's the one that I went around Arrowhead, right? That was that. Yeah, it was super hot day. That was the hardest day for sure. Just because of the heat and just absolutely no clouds in the sky. So you're just pretty baked. And then the next morning was Quanah to Electra. And then day 6 was Quanah to Silverton, 145 miles. That was a great day. That was the Red Roads day and going through Turkey and going through Cap Rock.
Going up the Cap Rock.
Yeah. And I thought for some reason, because I remember I was trying to get, my goal for that day was to get around Cap Rock before night. I really didn't want to ride. I wanted to get through it as quick as possible, but knowing I didn't want to go through there at night just because of those roads can be pretty rough. There's some pretty undeveloped sections of those roads. because they're not traveled very much.
Rugged,
It's very sandy. going
rugged
into it.
and sandy.
Yeah,
on that
especially
road.
when you first turn off the highway coming out of Turkey. It was a sandbox. And matter of fact, I could tell the difference between like Sedge or Doug's shoes compared to Justin's, because Justin's wears flat. So I was like, oh, this is Justin's walking and stuff. So you could tell where everyone was getting off and trying to walk through that. But anyway, I made it around the Caprock in like 25 minutes. So by the time I got out and got on the highway, the sun was just now kind of set, which means I had to climb the wall at night. And so I was a little concerned about traffic because there's only shoulders of that climb out when the road turns. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
If it's kind of a straight climb, there's not much of a shoulder, but when it turns, there's like a little turn off for people, I guess,
to paint a picture for folks that aren't familiar with it, it's a paved FM road that winds up the Caprock, basically overlooking Paladuro Canyon, where it rolls into Caprock Canyon, and amazing views in the daylight. But it is a winding mountainous road, for lack of a better term. Correct?
Yeah, it is, and it's trying to look at I don't have right with GPS, but it's about 800 feet in 3 miles.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
It's just relentless.
It's a pretty good pitch. So you're not going 10 miles an hour up that hill.
No. And there's turn after turn after turn. You keep thinking, oh, there's the top, and you get to the top and it's a turn to the left and then a turn to the right. But then here's the crazy thing is once you've climbed that, then there's a straight as an arrow, flat as a board, 10-mile stretch into Silverton. And it is late at night. After 130 miles, it feels like it takes forever because you can see the lights of Silverton, and it doesn't matter how long you've been pedaling, like they don't get any bigger.
Yeah.
But the wildlife was amazing. That's on that 10-mile stretch. It's a really smooth gravel and double track road. Like it starts off as a Jeep road. Lots of wildlife. Pigs, coyotes, rabbits, baby owls walking across. I saw 2 baby owls walking across the road.
Oh, wow.
And I know I wasn't hallucinating on that. And I got into Silverton, stayed at the cabins there. What was that? Wind Ridge? Silver Winds? Something like that. Yeah. Now those cabins are great if you have multiple people, because I think that one cabin, which was probably smaller than my hotel room in Lindsay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could have slept 5 to 6 people in that one small cabin because it had 2 queen beds and one double or twin. And then the next morning, my dinner that night was not that great because there was no more hot food. Also, so I think for dinner I had a Rice Krispie treat and I don't remember.
But
I didn't eat a lot.
Technically, that puts you back on schedule.
That put me back on schedule. So where I had 2 more days, I would have gone to Vega and then Vega to Tucumcari. That was my goal. And then the next morning, backstory. Coming through, I think it was the red roads of Turkey, I did get a puncture, which I need to talk about the mountain line too. I got a puncture on my front tire, and it was stands was coming out, and I got off, grabbed had a dart ready to roll right there on my aero bars. I have it ready, get it in, and it's so small I can't even get a bacon strip in it. So turned the tire upside down, filled up, spun it, waited a few minutes, checked it, rolled slow, held air, fine. And I thought, when I get to the cabin, I'll put a little bit of air in it, but it wasn't super low. So I forgot to do that. Rolling out of Silverton, I get right in between Silverton and Tulia, and I'm on the pavement, getting that big climb out of it goes back down into the upper end of the canyon, coming back out. And I think there was just an OCD thing. It's like I kept thinking about I need to put air in that tire, but I didn't really need to. It wasn't flat. It was still great for riding on gravel because it was nice and cushy, but on the pavement maybe it could have required more, right? When you get up and I was like getting out of the saddle, you could hear your knobs hitting the side. And I thought, I want to put some more air in it. I get out, I have the Lysine low pressure high volume pump, so it's like that big around. Put it on my tire, give it.
So it's girth that matters at that point.
Girth at that point is what you're looking for.
Okay.
So I get it, get some air in it, take it off, and immediately, as soon as I took the pump off, I hear it. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? So I looked at the pump and I see my valve core stuck in the pump. I thought, how does your valve core get pulled out with your I'm more concerned with getting the valve core out of my pump, not
Yeah.
even realizing what the bigger problem is. So I get the valve, I have to take my pump apart. I actually have to unscrew the cap, take the gasket out, and work it out. And so I go down and I put the valve core back in the valve and I start turning and nothing's happening. I'm like, what is going on? And I look at the valve core and there's about maybe 1/8 of an inch of metal around the valve core. And I realized that somehow my pump broke my valve stem off right where the valve core is threaded in.
Yeah.
And
So it broke the valve stem at the threads.
yeah, just below the threads. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Not only do I not know what had happened, I would have never predicted that what could possibly happen because I didn't bring an extra tubeless valve stem. I brought valve extenders. I brought 4 or 5, probably 4 valve cores. So I'm thinking, okay, I get it. On the side of the road, on a highway, safe, but diesel's passing really close. So I pull my bike off the side and I'm thinking, okay, I got to go to a tube. But I've been riding got over 800 miles on this tire. I know there's thorns in there.
So where would you pick up thorns? That's where I'm confused.
Oh, there's several sections.
I mean, everything between Childress and Tulia.
yeah.
The roads themselves are going to have thorns in them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you got to remember there's tumbleweeds that come across. A lot of those tumbleweeds are hickory, mesquite bushes.
Yeah.
There are thorny sage bushes in the middle of the roads, certain roads that are like double track, like Jeep roads. You'd be surprised. It's out there. So I started trying to feel, and I would feel them and I'd try to get them out, but some of them were super thin. And so they would break off in my tire. And I didn't have pliers. I got my knife out and tried to work them out, but then again, I didn't want to stab my tire either. So, put the first TPU tube in. I got maybe half a mile down the road. It flatted. And I'm thinking, this is not looking good. Take the tire off again. And at that point, I probably spent 25 minutes going through the tire, like literally trying to feel everything. And yeah, I didn't get them all out. I really thought I did. Like I said, 20 minutes of molesting a tire, you think you're going to feel every one of them. And at that point, I was able to get off the highway to get on the gravel roads. And I got maybe a mile and a half. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to hold. Okay, guys, this is holding. We're good. Because I knew if I could get the 65 miles from that point, it's about 65 miles to Canyon. It's bike shop in Canyon. I think it's going to be open by the time I get there. I'm pretty sure. If not, I'll call them ahead of time and see if they'll just leave me one outside the door and I'll figure out a way to pay. Yeah. Because if all I had was a valve stem, I'd be fine. Because I already had stands. Brad and I were communicating, and he even said, see if you can get the valve core out of a tube and put stands in the tube. But come to find out, I had both the Tubolito, one Tubolito and one
Ride Now.
So the orange and the pink. Both of the valve cores are molded, even though they're threaded. I could see that they were threaded. They're molded or the valve stem is molded around it. So it's not necessarily glued, but it is fixed in. It's not coming out. Because putting stands in that would have worked.
Yeah.
I think.
I think so.
Made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So by that point, I'm just kind of like there's so many options of what I could do. I was almost having kind of choice overload.
Sure.
Started to get a little and I was tired.
No.
After days and days of doing that, it's hard to analyze and think things through. So I had, limited. I saw that the Spinistry van was kind of like somewhat in the vicinity. At least it wasn't in Keller.
Right.
So I had a little bit of communication with Kevin. I had satellite communication with my wife and with Brad. How am I shaking the tail? Sorry. Had miscommunication with Kevin because I thought that Kevin was headed to me and I needed to decide what I was going to do by the time he got there. And that wasn't necessarily the case. That was my fault. And then I didn't want my wife to worry too much. I wasn't in any danger at all. Matter of fact, I'll send you a photo of where I pulled my Tyvek sleeve out under a tree and took about a 10-minute nap just trying to figure out what I was going to do. Brad, you tell me if I got the story wrong, but Brad looked on the map and McKenzie Lake was just south of where I was. And McKenzie Lake is water supply for Silverton and Canyon and some of the Tulia probably. some of the surrounding areas. And because it was a municipal water supply, it had an engineer on site, but that engineer is also the local law enforcement. So Brad called them and said, hey, we got a stranded cyclist that may need some help. Because at that point, I would have had a 15-mile walk to Tulia or a 15-mile walk back to Sylvania. And either way, I didn't want to walk on a highway.
Well, to be fair, what I called them for was to see, because in my understanding, Kevin was going to go to Tucumcari and do all of the pageantry there. And then when that wound down, he was going to make his way to you. And so I was going to try to get you some reprieve. And Lake McKenzie was like, it looked like it was 3 or 4 miles from where you were. And they had a marina, which made me think, hey, they may have food and water and some shelter. Yeah. And so I called them just to verify before I said, hey, just go here. I called them and was like, hey, is there somewhere he can hunker down for a little bit? Because we don't have anybody that can get to him for at least a couple of hours. And do you have water available and any kind of food? And she's like, oh, yeah. And she was like super helpful. Yeah. And she goes, actually, let me check. I think the guy's name was Mike. Yeah. And she goes, let me check with Mike. Mike may be able to go swoop him up so he doesn't have to walk all the way. And I go, that would be amazing. And so I didn't want to upset you, and you were in very spotty coverage. So I had sent you a text and said, hey, it seems like there's somebody that can come pick you up. Is that cool? Yeah. Because I didn't want them to show up and you'd be pissed off and be like, I don't need rescuing, whatever.
Sure.
So I was trying to make sure that was cool. But she had said, let me check with him and I'll call you back. Well, I didn't hear back from you. And she calls me back and she goes, he's already left. He's on his way. Yeah. Like she's thinking time is of the essence, you know? And I'm like, oh, I hope this is good with Caleb. And then so it went radio silence for about 30 minutes or something. And
the funny thing is I never got a text or a message from you about, no, I don't think I ever got a message about the guy on his way. So at that point, when I realized, when it dawned on me, okay, Kevin, they're headed to Tucumcari. Mm-hmm. My best bet is to walk back to the highway and try to hitch a ride.
Yeah.
I packed my Tyvek back up in my pillow because I did lay down and I think I was probably asleep for maybe 10 minutes, but man, that 10 minutes cleared my head. Yeah. So I start walking up the road and I can ride my tire a little bit. It's holding a little bit of air. So, if it's nice, it's not super rocky. I'm getting on it and kind of pedaling a little bit. So I'm not having to walk the whole time.
And it's better that it's a front than a rear too.
Sure. Yeah. Cause at least I have some momentum traction. Yeah. So I get maybe 100 yards from where I had stopped and, there's a white truck coming down the road and I see there's a big decal on the side. So I'm like, okay, this is a company man for an old company or he's somebody, he's going to be helpful. Yeah. And he rolled down the window and I said, hi, my name's Caleb. I'm not homeless. I'm out here on purpose. I said, I need help. Can you help me? And he goes, oh yeah, your buddy Brad Green called. I'm here to help. What do you need?
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm trying to figure out the logistics in my head. At that point, I'm not 100% sure how long it's going to take to get to Canyon. And if I get to Canyon before the bike shop closes, then I have to wait till 10 a.m. the next morning for it to open, get my wheel fixed, and then somehow find a ride back, which I know you said you guys could, but I'm trying to work on guarantees. I don't know how long you guys are going to get back. And at that point, I was like, I'm also on a schedule, have to be at work. I got in a couple of days, I got to go back to work and I really don't want to get the window of opportunity was closing before the weather changed. And, we were blessed with pretty much a tailwind. Yeah. Well, we had winds coming out of either straight east or the southeast the entire time.
Yeah.
Right. So there are times where you have
the guy that put that rap together knew what he was doing.
I know. He planned.
I'm sorry I ever doubted him.
He called the weatherman. So I really wanted to beat that window. I did not want a 50-mile-an-hour headwind. Like I didn't want it. So I was fine. I just said, okay, I'm done. And still now I wished I could have finished. I'm happy that I was able to catch back up and get back in the stage schedule. And, lesson learned, pack a valve stem.
Valve stem.
Holy shit, man.
Put that in the kit.
That one little thing. And so I get into Canyon. By the time I get there and get settled in the hotel, it's about 4:00, which would have given me time. But then I'm also like, I'm trying to figure this out with my wife. I don't want her to come and pick me up and then immediately drive home. It's a long drive. And, so I made the decision I'm going to stay 2 nights in the hotel. Finish that night out. I don't want cake, because she's like, I'll come right now and leave. But then she wouldn't have gotten there till 11 p.m. I don't want her out there making that drive by herself that late. So I said, come in tomorrow.
She would have been by herself. She would have had Biscuit.
Well, she would have Biscuit, the ultimate guard dog.
Attack dog.
Yeah. So luckily enough, I had next door roommates at the hotel with Rich and Kevin. We had
Slumber
an
party?
adjoining door.
Yeah.
So we just opened our door out, and Rich and I went and got, Kevin paid, and Rich and I flew and went and got dinner, and we watched the Dodgers game. And
Was that the night that Ohtani went off?
That was the night. I was telling Caleb going into that, I have not watched a single pitch of baseball this year. I watched that game, and it's like, this is it. I'm done with baseball now. I'll never see a better performance.
That is peak. That's peak performance.
It really is.
What was the best performance I've personally ever seen is now the second best, which was Shohei when he played in the World Baseball Classic for Japan. And basically did the same thing.
Yeah.
Pitched. And the funny thing was, it was in the second or third inning when we turned it on. And Rich, who is not a baseball, he's
Sports ball. He's not a sports ball fan.
sports guy.
Yeah.
So he goes, wait a minute, the same guy that's batting is the same guy that's pitching. So I said, this is the greatest baseball player of all time. And I'm explaining to him what all he's done as the guy is making the greatest single player performance of all time.
Because the guy's knocking the ball out.
So the next morning we meet for breakfast, and there's highlights on, and Rich goes, that guy hit 2 home runs. I went, no, Rich, he hit 3.
Yeah.
Pitched
He had
seven scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was baseball.
Hey, but I want to pause you real quick. Back to your kit, like adding a valve stem in.
Yeah.
So through conversation with Dravicki, he brought up something that I have never thought of. I'm sure people carry it. People have talked about this before, but he said super glue. And I was like, I never would have thought about that, because
Fairly common, yes.
Yes. So when you said, because I think in part of our conversation, you said that, and I still don't understand this, but you said that the hole was too small for you to put a plug in. You said you didn't want to force a plug in there.
Yeah.
He said that a lot of times, if that's the case, if it's something that doesn't need a plug, you can just like roll it to the top. Obviously, that's where you're going to work on it, and just kind of spread it open a little bit and put a little super glue in there. And what that'll do is it gives it the stands enough blockage to make a complete seal. And I was like, that's brilliant.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And he was talking about not an applicator where you squeeze, like a brush on.
Yeah.
That way it seals. You don't have to worry about a lot of times the super glue, when you take the lid off or the cap off, that neck will often clog up, or it'll just seep. But
it's a good idea. A little small, they even make the little tiny, you can go to a gas station or a grocery store and get those little tiny
crazy glue.
Screw, little aluminum or tin tubes that are super small. That's a good, what? That's rubber cement that comes in a patch kit.
Yeah.
That would have worked too. Rubber cement on the outside would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just wanted to put that on your radar because it's something I never thought of.
So over the course of the rat, this is maybe one of 3 occurrences where those people that carry the spare tires, it may have benefited them.
The funny thing, you say that a couple of weeks ago, in one of our text groups, Brad and I were kind of showing photos of our setup for the rat or whatever. And then I happened to find my very first bike packing setup photo on my Cannondale Slate. And I sent it to the guys, and I went, note the spare tire on the back. I actually brought a folded spare tire and had it strapped to the top of my saddlebag. And then we all kind of proceeded to show our ridiculousness of stuff. But it's like, man, if I had a spare tire.
So,
but actually, no, my tire was fine.
Yeah.
It was the valve. So
but the spare tire would have worked in that case because you still had tubes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You couldn't use your tubes because of the thorns. That's what I'm saying. This is like that really narrow window. I think we're back to it makes more sense to carry an extra valve stem and maybe some super.
Yeah. That's definitely like I already took out my little, the little lysine patch kits.
Yep.
That's what I had my valve cores in and my valve extenders, and I've already put a spare. So So, all right. So the next morning, Kay's going to come on her way. And I said, hey, before you leave, FaceTime me. I need to show you a part that I need you to bring because I don't want to drive with my one-up rack with a flat tire. I don't know how well the tire is going to hold, right?
You don't want to wreck your rim.
Yeah. So, it's like, I know exactly where they are. You can find them in about 12 seconds. And so we FaceTimed. I showed her where it is in my toolbox. I have a Ziploc bag that has about 6 of them.
Yeah.
It's like just bring the whole bag. Yeah. And she showed up at the hotel and she goes, oh, here's those parts you need. And I just pulled out that valve stem that's that long and weighs absolutely nothing. I'm going, and I showed it to her. I was like, this.
Would have saved you.
She goes, that's all you would have needed. I was like, this is it. That's all we needed. So got it switched out and we ended up going to Paladura Canyon and getting a little hike in and he's going down there and hanging out.
Able to get in the park that day?
Yeah. Even they had a big trail running event. So a lot of people out there and
Caleb's good at finding trail running events.
Yeah.
I know when I found out, I was like, of course. But yeah, no, we got in with no problem and weather down there was great. It was not hot in the afternoon and it was fun to encourage people. Like I needed to look at someone else suffering and encourage them to get my mind out of, because it wasn't all about me, so that was good. And then we packed up and headed on. That was my wrap. I enjoyed it. No regrets, still no regrets for, it would have been nice to finish, but I'm not beating myself up over it.
But you have finished in the past.
I finished in 2018. I guess the one thing I was looking forward to more than finishing, which I know doesn't make any sense, was getting up on the plateau and making that climb. I was looking forward to that, as hard as that climb is, because once you're up on top of there, it's all downhill from there.
There you go.
You can really say it from that point. So,
well, I'm glad you were able to join us this year. That meant a lot to me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you guys for Did you guys talk about the camping situation with the in Paris with the basketball and?
Oh yeah.
I think we touched on it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you for setting that up. I know we rolled in and I could see the look on your face like, oh God, these guys have to listen to this. So we got into Paris and we camped right next to a pavilion that had 2 full-size basketball courts and there were 50 kids in there.
Yeah. It wasn't the kids that was so obnoxious. It was the music.
Yeah, that music was awful.
Awful and so loud.
So loud.
And so we're sitting around and everyone kind of gets cleaned up and gets fed. Kevin had, compared to the lunch that we had or the early dinner we had that day with the world's worst sandwich shop.
First dinner.
Was that first dinner?
Yeah.
Kevin had made pulled pork sandwiches and God, it was amazing. And so Kevin said, I think, or maybe Rich said, I think they have to be shut down by 9. We're like, okay, we can deal with this for another hour. This is not a big deal. So we get in bed at 8:30 or something like that. And I wake up and it's 9:20 and it's still going on. And so I'll pull up my phone and I pull up Paris Sports Complex and I see it's open from 8 to midnight. I'm going,
shit.
Oh my God. But I guess I ended up going to sleep well enough because I didn't hear the cops come and run them off. So, but thank you again for at least putting that together.
Yeah.
We had a safe space to sleep that night and the weather was nice and cool. So.
We'll be making adjustments next year. We've got some plans in mind. We'll talk about that another episode.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff out from this rat that has me excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that Mr. Justin Cary's new FKT record is probably going to set up some interesting stuff going forward. For those that don't know, previous record by Dana Birch in, I think, 2018 was 131 hours ish, 5 days and 10 to 11 hours, something like that. Justin Cary set a new record of 96 hours and 21 minutes, which is 4 days and 21 minutes to go 1,000 miles.
I still can't even process that. It's crazy. Not advisable almost.
I as an events promoter, and we've talked about this stuff in the past. Caleb and I touched on some of it before. The approach he took, I would not recommend, but I think the approach he took, Justin would not recommend at this point as well, from some of the stuff I've seen him say. But we will most assuredly have him on to share all of those details. I think, and I'm not taking away from that performance at all. It was absolutely astounding.
Yeah,
amazing physical accomplishment.
It was crazy to watch. Do you think he had a valve stem with him?
No, I don't.
He could have, man, if he had one, he could have just set one on the side of the road for me and goes, here,
There-
buddy.
There's
He could have dropped you a crumb.
there's lots of things he didn't have with
That's
him.
what I was getting at. I mean, you talk about traveling light. I watched this video, and when he was talking about the amount of clothes that he brought, I was like,
Or lack of,
the amount of clothes he
lack thereof.
didn't bring.
Yeah. I mean, all he brought was arm warmers and a light jacket.
yeah.
I mean, like, if the weather would have been any colder or any shittier,
He was very fortunate.
oh,
He was very fortunate, but in any kind of attempt like that, luck is always a factor. There's no doubt about that.
But the other thing is, and not that they're the same, but if you're going to attempt, now he didn't know it was possible. He didn't know that he was going to pull it off, but his attempt was to make it in 4 days. That's a tight window where the weather is pretty predictable. As far as the comparison to like Matt Golson,
yeah,
has been out there for
12 days.
12 days. That's a much longer window where
For
things
shit to go
for
sideways.
shit to go sideways. So theoretically, you could say, okay, I'm going to start on this day. I'm going to finish on this day. And it's a lot more,
Agreed.
likely. Yeah. I mean, so I guess it's somewhat calculated, but at the same rate, it seems like he threw a lot of caution to the wind and just said, you know what, we'll just figure it out. We'll make it happen. And did he tell you how much, if at all, he slept?
He talks about it in his video that he posted. To be honest with you, when I tried to talk to him, he wasn't making any sense.
I don't understand why.
I think we're guessing 4 hours,
Maybe. Yeah. I think
4 to 6 hours.
our conversation was that he had stopped a couple of times to get an hour or so nap.
Yeah.
So 4 hours seems probably the max. Maybe I wouldn't even imagine.
I mean,
Crazy.
I
But
think-
Dana said that he only slept 4 hours on his FKT, or was that 4 hours per night?
I think he was more like 4 hours per night because
Okay.
I know when he slept over at Russell's truck stop in the chapel, that was pretty close to 4 hours by itself.
Okay.
Well, Justin had even said that one night, even if he wanted to sleep, but he couldn't because he got too cold and kept
Yeah.
waking up. And he said the only way to stay warm was to get back on his bike and
Yeah.
keep pedaling.
Yeah.
I know in his video he said on the third night into the fourth day he was planning on not sleeping, just slowing down
Yeah.
so he could stay warm. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, the only 2 times I saw him still for any extended period was I think we were both looking at the map then in Clarksville, where he was next to that pizza joint or whatever. It looked like maybe he was in a little park thing. or
Remind me
something.
where Clarksville is. I don't even remember where Clarksville is.
That's the town where you start to get onto the net section into Paris.
Yeah, remember we went
Yeah.
across that pedestrian
Yes,
bridge?
that's Clarksville.
Yeah.
We stopped at the Dollar General there, right?
No.
Brad said y'all didn't stop in Clarksville.
No. We stopped at the very edge of Clarksville on the
Oh, that was Blossom that y'all stopped in the Dollar
Yeah.
General or whatever.
Yeah, so it went Clarksville, Detroit, Blossom,
Oh, yeah.
and then Paris.
That's right.
We stopped at the very edge of Clarksville right before we got onto net. I mean, you could see the start of the net right there.
Mhm.
We stopped for something. I can't remember. You wanted to do something, maybe eat something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But the other thing with Justin Cary, 0 solid food consumed. Am I correct?
Yeah, he said he ate a couple of bags of corn nuts.
So
Oh yeah, that's right. Corn nuts.
Oh, well, over here, camera. So we'll pitch Justin's Fuel, Simple Cycling Nutrition.
I want to see this.
.com. Here's the nutrition on it, and don't look at it like that where it may look like something else. I'm gonna let y'all talk about nutrition and stuff while I go visit the little boys' room real quick.
Glucose and fructose.
Yeah. So I'm having a hard time reading the bottom of the label.
He's out.
Yeah. Hey, crazy.
Yeah. So essentially, this is just carbs and sodium. Right.
It's maltodextrin, fructose, however you say it.
So-
It's sodium.
Do you know all the dextrins?
So I've been doing a lot of research recently because Paul and I had a long conversation about just tailwind and how expensive it is comparatively And then I started going down the rabbit hole of the difference between maltodextrin and dextrose. So straight dextrose and maltodextrin.
So I don't know the differences between the different dextrins. So maltose and glucose and all that other stuff.
One of them is derived. So dextrose, man, I'm trying to remember now. But effectively, I think maltodextrin is the one that's a long burn. So it's a multi-chain, and then dextrose is a simple chain, if I'm remembering correctly. And so the maltodextrin, from what I remember, can be a little bit harder on the gut versus dextrose. And so what I was thinking is a combination of maltodextrin and dextrose would probably be a good play. I mean, and just for simple thought process, you can buy a 50-pound bag of dextrose for like $100, and it's gram for gram carbs.
Yeah.
So 25 grams is 25 carbs, essentially.
So this is interesting, though. So I'd love to. Do you have a bag of Tailwind?
Hey, Boo Boo, would you bring me a bag of Tailwind, please?
I just want to compare it because this looks like 2 servings. This is like 4 scoops of Tailwind, which would equal 400 calories.
Yeah.
But this is, but Justin's is, this is 1 serving at 400 calories. So I don't.
But he fuels differently. We've talked about this before, where I think in his bladder, in his hydration pack, I think he does straight water, and then he does a concentrate in his bottles, if I'm correct in remembering, unless he's changed how he fuels.
I'm under the impression he's changed up, but I'm not positive of that.
Yeah.
We'll let him definitely fill us in on that level of detail.
I went back and listened to episode 44, which was the first time we had, and it was literally titled "The Unconventional Justin Cary," and it was super interesting to put some perspective on his most recent performance and hear kind of what was the formation of Justin Cary. Like, he was just jumping into bigger stuff.
Definitely an evolution involved.
And so I have not listened to the second podcast we had him on, but it's on my to-do list while I'm prepping over the next couple of days, because it was super interesting, because he was talking about, at that point, he was talking about toying with making his own nutrition and fueling and some of the bigger stuff he was doing. And I think at the time he had done the 200 Denton FKT attempt, I think twice. And we were talking about Leadville and a couple other things. And I even said, do you want to do Tour Divide, and do you want to do Race Across Texas? And he was like, yes, I definitely do. And it was just interesting kind of going back and seeing that or hearing that.
And that was episode 44.
Yep. Okay.
So comparing, ingredients and percentages and measurements between Tailwind and Justin's Simple Cycling Nutrition, there's nothing in here that's the same.
Right? So.
Okay, so unless these have common names or 2 different ways to say the same thing, Justin's has maltodextrin, fructose, sodium citrate. That's period. The main ingredients in Tailwind is dextrose, which is not maltodextrin.
Right.
It's different. Cane sugar. Now that's
the same as fructose.
Yeah.
Oh, cane sugar. Okay, so
and dextrose and maltodextrose are essentially the same thing as well.
No.
Okay, so they do. I missed this one. They do both have sodium citrate. Now,
I apologize.
No. I'm not.
So no, please do correct me. So what is the difference between the two?
We were just talking about that, and I'm going to pull it up just so I'm not speaking out of turn here.
Sure. No,
one of them is, here we go. Okay, this is what I was saying. So and this will make way more sense. Dextrose and maltodextrin are both carbohydrates used as food additives and nutritional supplements. Here are the key differences between them. Dextrose is a simple sugar, a monosaccharide, right?
Okay.
Consisting of 1 glucose molecule. Maltodextrin is a complex carbohydrate, a polysaccharide made up of multiple glucose molecules linked together. And so what that means is a complex carbohydrate is a long burn item.
Longer.
So it's not, So if you think about gas versus kerosene, gas is flammable. Kerosene it burns. So dextrose is available immediately. When you take it in, it's instant energy. Maltodextrin is like a long burn, slow burn kind of. So I think that's why, from a fueling perspective, that's why you need to supplement fructose, because fructose is a simple a monosaccharide.
So what are the origins between the two? Is one cane sugar versus one's corn syrup?
So I think they're both derived from corn. Let's see. I'm not seeing it immediately.
The bigger difference is, so Tailwind has some minerals in it. It's got
Very small amount.
Yeah, per serving, it's got 12 milligrams of magnesium, 90 of potassium, and 27 of calcium.
Which Justin says add your electrolytes of choice to that. And
Exactly.
that's essentially the same thing
Yeah.
at that point. So, I mean, I guess, and yes, I oversimplified by saying dextrose and maltodextrose are the same thing. No doubt about that. But the overall effect is essentially the same with different levels. The chemicals of the dextrose and the maltodextrose, the body processes it all. Essentially the same thing, but with the longer burn, like what you're talking about. Usually in other drink mixes, they will have other items in there that contribute to that slow burn capability as well. It balances out in the end. It's all essentially the same idea. It's different ratios of this versus that, and I'm not criticizing one or the other. It's still the carbs per hour approach to things.
Sure.
And whether you need to refuel that carbs per hour every 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or whatever, that's going to depend on the mix that you're using. And the maltodextrose is not going to be a true slow burn carbohydrate that lasts for 6 hours like oatmeal or something like that.
Right.
But instead of maybe burning up in 15 minutes like a candy bar, it makes it 40 minutes sort of thing.
So pound for pound, scoop for scoop, however you want to call it. So remember,
The same calories, scoop for scoop, right?
Yes. Tailwind is their serving size is one of their scoops, which is 27 grams. It's 100 calories. Justin's, this is interesting. I would love to know what it's weird that Tailwind says one serving size is one scoop, but in their directions it says mix 2 to 3 scoops. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, that's not a serving of one scoop. So
serving is just to define the nutrition
breakdown.
Yeah. Now, I would not like 2 to 3, or definitely 3 scoops of this in a bottle. That's just too sweet for Tailwind. It's too sweet. It's too sugary. Like, your mouth gets sticky. Justin has no flavoring in it, right? Tailwind has flavoring in it. But one thing that Justin's does have that is significantly more is sodium. So as far as carbs goes, as far as sugars,
does have sodium
as far as sugars goes,
I thought Justin's was.
Well, he's getting it from sodium citrate.
Yeah. Now, sodium citrate is in here too, is in Tailwind, but it's only 310 milligrams per serving, whereas Justin is 500, which is significantly more.
Yeah, but you're talking about, that is how many?
No.
How many calories per serving?
You said this is 310 per serving.
No.
Yeah, per scoop. So you're right. This does have more sodium in it.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
Yeah, Tailwind has more.
Yeah. Okay.
and that's what. So Justin has a baseline sodium amount in there, basically the minimal amount. And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, and you'll have an opportunity to. And definitely the electrolyte and sodium is going to be very unique from rider to rider, athlete to athlete.
Yeah.
Everybody has different sodium needs.
Yeah.
And so I guess he's providing a baseline amount. But in turn, we're calling it a baseline amount. He sometimes puts 2 or 3 of those packs in a bottle.
Yeah. I want to try his. I'm not a huge fan of strongly flavored mixes.
See what and
It's still going to taste sweet regardless.
it's going to taste like sugar water.
It's going to be sugar
You're
water.
going to be drinking like a hummingbird.
and you're gonna have the slime, the sugar slime all in your mouth.
But
all over
unless
your
I'm
teeth.
mistaken, what he does is, like you're saying, he puts like 2 of these in a bottle. So you're talking about 800 calories, and he doesn't even run big bottles. Yeah. And so what he's doing is he's drinking water, and then he's taking
Yeah.
just a little sip of this.
Literally doing the hummingbird thing.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing I stressed out about when we were talking about it on the second time we had him on the podcast is like, how do you know how many calories you're taking in an hour? How do you regulate that?
Well, I think it's fair to say his conversations with us, he's had takeaways from those conversations.
Yeah.
And I think after that conversation, he did adjust and better fine tune and define what his actual calories were.
Yeah.
And get into a more prescribed routine is my guess. But again, I may be talking out of my ass. It won't be the first time.
Yeah.
Nor the last.
I did my yearly physical week or two before the rat, and my doctor said, "Hey, make sure you update you take in way more sodium than you think you need."
Yeah.
He goes, "That's going to be your key."
Yeah.
And so every stop that we did, I tried to make sure I had a minimum of 700 to 800 calories of combined food and liquid,
Right.
whether that's through a Gatorade or a Coke or whatever it is. And then I would eat a bag of chips. I'd have something with salt, or Brad shared his, I forgot to bring a bag of salt, but Brad had flaked sea salt.
Did you use that after I left it with
Absolutely.
you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I would stop and just, like, if I started getting tired or fatigued, or just like, I don't want to say confused because that's not the right word, but I just need like a little bit of a pick me up. I would stop and put a pinch of salt in my mouth and just chew on that. And it would kind of wake me up and get me going. And, you remember when we did Midnight Massacre, my gut shut down when I did, which is only 75 miles. When I did XL, my gut shut down. I did not have a single issue eating food. Every time I rolled into an all-six. Now there was one that day 5, getting out of Arrowhead. When I got to Arrowhead, I went into the state park to get a Coke, and I was kind of confused, and I had a hard time. Like, I had to force myself to drink a Coke and eat a bag of chips because I was starting to kind of feel that gut shut down. But once I got that sodium in me, and there's sodium in Coke too, don't forget.
There's a good bit.
Started immediately feeling better. So I think my issues is
undersalted.
because I've always heard the thing, not too much salt, it's not good for your heart. But when your doctor goes, no, you need to make sure you get plenty of salt.
There's a big disconnect on proper salt intake in endurance athletics.
Yeah.
There's a guy I follow on Instagram, which there's quacks everywhere on Instagram.
Sure.
But like he does these every other day posts about electrolytes and different things. And he says the best way to start your day is a glass of water and a pinch of salt. Do that before you have coffee. Do that before you do anything. And I've done it off and on for I did it for a day or two, maybe 3 or 4 days leading up to the rat. And then I've kind of done it as I remember since I've been home. And I do feel better. I feel like I get hydrated a little faster because you wake up in the morning and you can tell that you're, a wrung out rag. And so I don't know. I want to balance that. I definitely don't want to do that when I'm not riding because that would be oversalted. But
in my understanding, and again, I could be talking out of my ass. I am not a nutritionist by any stretch of the imagination. This was my big learning over the past year, digging into it a little bit more. We're under the impression that the salt we take in with our normal diet, our normal meals, and everything like the salt I ate last night in my pasta and whatever, it doesn't carry through into the endurance athletic effort like we think it does. Oh, I'm getting plenty of salt. You need more salt while you're working out.
Well, it's just like you had sugar last night. That's not going to fuel you for your ride today.
Understood, but it's all we've been raised on the perception that the salt's lingering and all just going through your body and staying there, sort of thing. Yeah. And it is more like the sugar aspect. It's like, oh, I'm undersalted now.
Yeah. And
salt is like sugar in that if I'm bonking some salt and some sugar, it's gonna hit quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also like this guy's suggestions and his information. It's also based on eating a normal, healthy diet anyway. It's not eating Taco Bell and hamburgers and French fries every single day. Oh, by the way, make sure you put salt in your water.
Increased saturation sodium, that is what leads to the heart disease and arterial blockage and everything like that. But the reality is at a high effort, athletic effort, you're processing that all through your body quickly and breaking it down and sweating it out and getting rid of it.
That's what I was going to say. The bottom line is if you're doing anything where you're sweating, you're losing salt.
Yeah.
And so you have to replace that salt. You need to replace that salt. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're outside digging a hole or whatever, or running or cycling or whatever.
Right.
If you're sweating, you need to be taking in salt.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is if you're crusty, that's actually an indication of undersalted, because it's actually pulling your salt stores from the body as opposed to what's, for lack of a better term, freely going through the bloodstream. And
Well, I think everybody sweats differently. Some people are heavy sweaters, and I think that that's more of just an indicator that, I mean, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe if you're showing salt, that means you're not taking in enough salt.
That's my
But
understanding.
I've always just thought about it as you're the guy that needs to take in more salt because you're obviously using a lot of salt.
It appears that you're using more salt, but
Yeah.
there's actually it's counterindicative of that. It means there's not enough salt there, so your body's having to break down its own stores of salt,
Yeah.
and which also, as your body breaks down more, it's even expending that much more energy and making you that much less efficient,
Yeah.
and so forth and so on. And it almost turns into a vicious cycle
Yeah.
at that point. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
One of these days, we'll have a real nutritionist on here who's going to tell us how stupid we are.
That would be nice, actually.
I would, but is there a real nutritionist? Because every nutritionist I hear from all have completely different opinions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of like historians. None of them know what they're talking about. It's just we're only going off the information we currently have. So it's so fickle, and just like butter came and went, and butter's back, and eggs, and the thought process changes on all of these things. And even as we're talking, sports nutrition is going through a complete change. What is it? 2 years ago, nobody was talking about, especially wide and thorough, talking about
Carbs per
hour.
Nobody in cycling was.
Yeah.
Well, we should call it 4 years ago now. But
Yeah.
2 years ago is when it really went over the hump. But it was
Push that plunger down.
it was prevalent in other endurance sports.
Yeah.
That said, there is definitely extremely strong debate on how healthy the carbs per hour approach really is.
Well, and as you're saying that, I was thinking about, I would be curious to know how much of this Justin took over the course of 1,000 miles. How much of this he ingested, since he barely ate any solid food, and if he had any gut fallout on the end of it.
Well, if this is his method,
Yeah.
this is probably what he did for Mid-South. He was probably testing it when he did XL.
Undoubtedly.
He's been refining it.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's probably, from a stomach standpoint, it's just fine.
He's gut trained for it.
But hold up, y'all are thinking about this a little differently. Those are 24-hour efforts.
You're talking about multi-day. Yeah.
You're talking about 96 hours
Yeah.
of, you can live off of Taco Bell for a week, but you can't do it for a month.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the long-term, like I said, I'm interested to know if he had any major gut issues afterwards, or anything like that, or on the opposite, if it was really difficult for him to eat solid food after that, because
sounds like great questions for when we have them in person.
Because I can't imagine that you're keeping your stomach full, because you don't need your stomach full in order to ingest this, because you're taking in small amounts, you're staying hydrated. So I imagine his stomach shrank over the course of 96 hours. And I imagine solid food was very difficult.
Well, without getting into detail, but just in the spirit of the conversation, how this stuff works, like by Sunday evening and Monday morning, I started having stomach issues because I was back eating solid food.
Yeah.
Full. I didn't stop and have a nice juicy hamburger every single night.
Yeah.
In fact, there were 2 or 3 nights that in Silverton, my dinner that night was a honey bun, a sleeve of peanut butter crackers, and maybe a bag of chips. Just because I got in late, that side of Electra, I didn't know where the nearest gas station was. It was cooked, so this is what I'm eating tonight, right?
Yeah.
And you get up the next morning and you stop, and I did get an egg sandwich at the Allsup's down the street. But the point I'm making is
Egg sandwich.
sausage, egg, and cheese, or whatever it was. But multiple days of eating like a trash panda.
Yeah.
By the time I got done and my body realized, okay, we're kind of back to normal, and I had a breakfast and a dinner and a lunch and all that other stuff. I had some little issues on Monday, which is pretty typical of multi-day kind of thing. So I hope he didn't eat a big ass meal right after that, because it might have hurt him.
Yeah. So let's talk about the other two competitors that were at the forefront.
That was a great show of its own.
It's almost sad that it got overshadowed by Justin Cary's effort, but in my mind, they were two different things altogether. Justin was going for the FKT. He didn't go off with the mass start. The real race was between Sedge and Doug, and it seemed like Doug had it licked the whole time. And this is where I wanted to ask you, because I know you have insider information. As I was watching the dots, and 3 or 4 days back from the finish, Doug was getting the hotels, easy to say, 3 hours ahead of Sedge. So he was drilling it, getting there, getting extra sleep, probably fueling and everything else on top of that. And then it looked like, because I was never awake when they took off, but it looked like they were getting up and starting about the same time, and then Doug would just walk off from Sedge, and Sedge would just steady wins the race, kind of. And then on day 7, when they finished, it looked like Doug went off course, and then when he came back on course, he was going the wrong direction for a short amount of time, and that's where Sedge got ahead.
That is 100% correct.
Okay.
So basically coming down off the Cap Rock into San Hone, it's literally the last dirt road on the whole route.
Because it's 20. Once you get on Route 66, it's 26 miles of pavement the whole way.
Yeah.
To carry.
So you come off of the Cap Rock, wind through this cattle ranch double track sand road. It's technically a county road, but barely, and it takes a little curve to the left and catches the highway that goes into San Hone. But there's also a fork that kind of keeps going straight and almost due north.
Right here.
We still don't know the exact reason why, but Doug had some sort of computer navigation issue right at that intersection. And it's not even an intersection. It's a slight fork in the road sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he missed the turn. He kept going. He came back to it. He went too far back up towards, and he came back and he missed the turn one more time and finally sorted it out. He was talking to his wife on the phone. She was in Tucumcari, and she was explaining to him that he was off course. Yeah. And I think she finally he got back to the intersection. And I do want to, I'm going to load up the ShiftLess mobile, and I'm going to visit Doug, and I'm going to visit Sedge. I want to hear their story. We chatted some about it, but obviously after 1,000 miles and almost 8 days on the road, they were in better shape than Justin.
I should hope so. They had slept plenty.
I mean, Sedge was fresh as a daisy crossing the finish line, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Doug was obviously a little rattled. I mean, he had to have been. And probably a little upset with himself.
He took it better than I expected.
Yeah.
I think ultimately,
hell of a performance.
Oh,
for sure.
I mean, you and I talked about it. I said, until that last day, we don't know how these guys are marking each other.
Yeah.
And maybe they're playing games, maybe they're not. You can't take Sedge's finish each day and go, oh, Doug's the stronger rider right now. But you can't say he's not.
Yeah.
I think Doug's was probably the most steady paced ride I had ever seen across the whole rat.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this guy's writing a plan.
He looked calculated.
It was. And he didn't seem toasted or burnt out. He was ready to be done.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
But what exactly caused that navigation issue? I don't know exactly what that is at the moment.
Did one of the locals take the orange arrow down?
For the most part, out of, I didn't get the full 1,000, but the miles that I rode, the only section that I saw that was a little iffy, but all you had to do was use your brain, was get that section of the net where there shows to go to levitate across the highway.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, we went down the ramp, the dirt ramp, across the highway, back up. But other than that, the route was,
outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
there were
awesome.
never had
I'll
any
fix that next.
confusion.
There
even,
was
even in the remote back roads, everything was clear. There was no issues on the rat. You know, the only thing you have every once in a while, and I think this was probably a Garmin thing, is you get on a section where it doesn't even know if it's a road and it'll tell you to do a U-turn.
Yeah.
But you just keep pedaling till you get to that
Yeah.
intersection, and then it clears itself up. But that happens. That could go out on your daily ride. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But overall, like, no issues navigating whatsoever.
There was one fix that was needed, that I think Matt brought it to our attention in the Harmon Wildlife Refuge over by Gage Road. The old road used to cross under the railroad tracks and go back.
Yeah.
So that still shows on the map that way. So the plot
Yeah.
never went away, but now you can't go under the railroad tracks.
And
So
I've been
actually-
through there enough to I remembered that spot.
And
I was like, no, you just keep going
Yeah.
straight.
I fixed that the other night. Thanks for the reminder. I will also fix.
Now, the first year, myself and Kevin Catania, we drug our bikes up. We didn't have the sense to just zoom out on our Garmins to see that if you just keep going straight, there's a left-hand turn. But instead, we drug our bikes. There's like 3 sets of railroad tracks there.
Yeah.
We drug them over that, drug them to the other side, got back on the road just to realize we turned left and go underneath.
We
it.
will be instituting a new rule in Ratdom that based on trains and train tracks, but we'll save that for another discussion.
There's in that, tell people if they get to a small town and the railroad track parallels 287 or 82 and it's blocking, just keep working your way down. They will leave one intersection open, and I don't remember which town I was in.
And that's basically going to be the rule. There is no crossing a train track. There's no crossing a train. Doesn't happen.
I watched a high school girl in a backpack. She was on the other side of the train, and she was kind of pacing 20 or 30 yards, like trying to figure out what to do. And finally, she walked up on the road I was on and crawled up over the railroad track, got on the other side, and started walking.
Yeah.
And
it is an approved reroute on the rat. If there's a train blocking, you can go do anything you need to get around.
well, I went down a half a mile, crossed, went to the gas station, turned back up, got right back on the route where it had crossed, and got back on. It wasn't an issue. But those are one of those things where, like, you just gotta use your brain and not do something stupid and dangerous like carrying your bike. I'm sorry, Justin, but don't do that again, man. It stressed me out.
Yeah, I was stressed out watching it on the video.
Oh yeah.
So back to fueling though, do we have any clue how Sedge and Doug fueled?
I do not know the specifics yet.
Okay.
Again, I want to have that conversation.
Because both of those guys seem very regimented.
They were both very disciplined. I'm hoping to get the finishing videos put together in the next day or two and show you all the contrast between each. And who knows, maybe Doug did touch on that while we were chatting at the finish line there. I was even a little scattered in my head at that point.
Well, make no mistake, it was also interesting to watch your dot in comparison to Justin Cary's, because I was thinking Justin might be 2-2 Cary.
We were very aware. I had Rich playing Mr. Spock and breaking down the numbers on the whole time. It's like, all right, we can stop in Vega and take a leak one time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Leading up to Quanah, I was riding behind 2 sets of tire tracks, right? And I could tell whose was whose because there's some timing between the two, and one was a little more deteriorated than the other. And then when I got up the next morning from Quanah and started going through Turkey and all that stuff, there was 3 sets.
Yeah.
Justin had passed me. So I could clearly see Justin's was not only, it was hours old, but Sedge and Doug's, the
arrow straight.
Pretty straight. And then, we all do the shift over to get on the hard ground, shift over to avoid sand. Justin's is like literally like a spaghetti noodle through the road. And I get on the backside of the red roads, getting ready to make that turn from going to south and then kind of working back north, going into Turkey. And I'm clearly behind Justin's tire track because it looks very, very fresh. And then I noticed there's mountain lion footprints
Over his tracks.
over his tracks, which means His
Right.
tracks are only maybe 5-6 hours old.
Yeah.
And then which at that point, I didn't know at that point, but in hindsight, after talking to Kevin, that's where one of the areas where Justin had gotten off his bike to sleep was on those roads. Now I'm, knowing there's a mountain line. So, and I was telling Kevin and Rich, like, this is one of the very few times, if ever, that I can remember that I'm truly fearful on a bike. Not, you have cars pass close, you're like, oh, it scares you. But to be truly fearful, I'm seeing mountain line prints this big around, right?
Yeah.
On top of his tire track. So I'm just hauling ass. I'm like, I'm going to ride as fast as I can. It's 120 something miles into the ride. And I'm riding as fast as I can to try to just clear out of those footprints. I get clear of them. I don't hardly see each other. So I'm like, okay, finally relax. And there's one standing in the middle of the road, 40 yards in front of me. And I'm downwind. So he doesn't smell me. He doesn't hear me. And he hasn't seen me yet. I don't want to stop because I don't want to, come to a stalemate between me and him. I don't want to surprise him.
You pull out your taser?
So we're going to talk about that in a minute. So as I'm getting closer, I start yelling, hoping he could hear me because I did have a headwind at that point. And I'm looking on the side of the road for rocks, and I have to throw rocks to scare him off. And so he just calmly turned his head, or it was a she, I think. I could tell her stomach was thinner and she wasn't quite as muscular. And she just kind of hopped up on the edge of the road and took off. Now, the scary thing is, those farmers and ranchers, I guess they share lease a road grader.
Yeah.
One of them knows how to drive it. So when the roads get super muddy and rutted after it dries, they come down and they grade it down. Well, after decades of doing that, the road bed starts to sink. Right? It's not like the pasture and the fence is the same level as the road. There's sections of those red roads where you're 8 or 10 feet below.
I think there's some that are 20 feet up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of sections. So at that point, I'm 4 or 5 feet below the road bed. The road bed is below. So I'm like, is he going to circle back around and follow me? So I just kept riding as hard as I could for a good mile or so. So I think I got clear because I had to ride past where she was standing. So, and as I get 3 or 4 miles down the road, and just before I get to the Tampico Monument, is that what it is that we call it?
The Ozark Trail marker.
Yeah. Maybe a mile before that, old cowboy comes up in his pickup truck and his horse trailer, and I stopped him because I want to know, I want to know more about the smelt line thing. And he goes, yeah, there's several of them out here. So there's not just one, so now I'm thinking in hindsight, holy shit, Justin stopped to sleep out there with known multiple mountain lions. But the guy said, he goes, oh, they won't mess with you.
Shit.
I don't
Depends
know.
on how hungry they are.
That's exactly right.
But it makes me wonder if, especially since you saw tracks on top of his tracks, if that mountain lion was stalking Justin, if he might have been going 8 miles an hour at the time, and that mountain lion could have been stalking him.
Well, I will say there were too many prints for me to clearly see what this mountain lion's paths were. The one that it finally registered on me was a set that were walking towards me.
Oh, okay.
Right. But there were definitely ones heading out. I mean, I who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows why he was it looked like he was circling in that area for something.
I know why.
Why?
That's where Justin laid down to sleep.
It could have been.
No, he did.
Yeah.
Coming out the deepest part of the red road.
It was up on the hill past that.
Where you have to walk up to the top, where it's that big vista view and just that one power pole behind you that's the only sign of technology. That's after Justin walked up out of there. That's where he laid down and accidentally fell asleep and woke himself up shivering 2 hours later.
This is surely within 50, 60 yards of that area.
Within cat distance of that.
I know where that, I mean, I obviously know where that area is. So yeah,
maybe
it's wild.
Maybe that cat just was cold and wanted to cuddle.
Could be.
Maybe it was, or maybe because he didn't have any solid food.
Maybe he's like,
he was looking for a honey bun.
that's too sweet. That's too sweet. Can't do that.
Or maybe he
Can't
said
do
this
that.
meat's too cold. I like warm meat.
God, can you imagine laying on the side of the road and all of a sudden you're awake and there's a mountain lion sniffing around you? Jeez.
I think at that point, Justin wouldn't, based on his video, he wouldn't have known if that was real or not, quite frankly. But, and along those lines, you were talking about we were racing Justin to Tulia, which by the last few hours, we literally were.
Yeah.
I thought we had plenty of cushion because it's like, I knew, air quotes, that he had to stop at some point, just at least to take an hour break somewhere, which he didn't do. But it was because we found out later he was cold, so he just kept moving. I assumed when he rolled into Vega that he was going to just chill out there and finish the last day with Sedge and Doug. That's kind of what we were hoping for. And he even said himself, that's what he wanted to do. Because he was chasing them. He was chasing all the riders, and that was his carrot, like we had talked about before.
Remember, that's what I said. I think once he catches Doug, because Doug was the front runner at that point.
At that point,
I thought he was going to let up and kind of ride with him.
I completely assumed he would. So I assumed he would take a break and let them catch up with him since he passed in the night. And it's like, okay, I understand that. It's like he wasn't planning on staying at a hotel or anything. So at some point, he'll just lay down for a couple hours till they catch him and they'll all finish together. But he had that as an idea himself, but he was given motivation to finish as far in front of everybody as he possibly could. So he took that advice and ran with it.
Which I understand to some extent. You've express mailed this first 3/4 of the section.
Sure.
So why not put an exclamation point on it? But at the same rate, geez, I mean, I can't even imagine how exhausted he was by the time he made it to Vegas.
I don't think he probably at that point. You get to a point where you don't even realize how you don't know.
Yeah.
When he's seeing pink. I mean, he said he saw elephants.
Yeah. When we put the videos up from Justin Cary, he's not all there.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. That is not a critique by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. It's completely an expectation. But along those lines, I think, and Doug will correct me if I'm wrong, I think that.
Is this mine, by the way?
It is now. You're opening it.
Well,
Brad, you're supposed to drink it, not sniff it.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah, we'll edit that.
My lawyers have advised me not to remark on that.
I think possibly that might have helped Doug to not be as frustrated in that, ultimately Justin, won the race for lack of a better term. So maybe in Doug's mind, it wasn't a race between him and Sedge anymore. I don't know.
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. It was incredibly interesting to watch the whole thing evolve.
Well, even after I left you guys, like every day I'm looking at where I'm at. I'm looking where Sedge and Doug's at. I'm looking, knowing I know full well Justin's going to catch me.
Yeah,
I know that's going to happen. I'm trying to figure
it's inevitable.
But like we didn't really truly know what his strategy was. Like, he did. And I'm texting you guys going, guys, he's not stopping. He's not stopping. Guys, I just rolled through X town and I was here for 30 minutes and he was in front of me, or, I think he passed me in Vernon. Vernon is where he passed me.
Did you actually physically see him?
I didn't, because I went, goes into Vernon, goes into kind of the downtownish area or whatever you want to call it, and it makes a right-hand turn to go north. I kept going west for about 4 or 5 blocks to Vernon Burger because it was right across the street from Dollar General, and I could kind of 2 birds in one stone. So I watched him pass me, and I went into, I knew he was coming through town as I was going into the Dollar General store. I was in the Dollar General store for maybe 4 or 5 minutes max. Came back out, looked, and he had already passed through. So that's when I texted you guys. He is not stopping. So maybe
sent a text at one point. You said, "How is he doing this?"
Yes.
Yeah. Which was my thought process.
It was just like, he is. Of course, he was definitely carrying more water than I was. Maybe, I think
he said he was carrying 3 liters total.
And he ran out last day too.
Did he really?
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
I remember I saw on his video where he said, I need some water. And you said, I've got water for you. So yeah, I remember him saying he was out of water.
So that was the craziest thing. In hindsight, now we know what he was doing.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just mind blowing because I'm watching him roll through towns, and when he's doing his stops, they're so fast they don't even register as a stop within the time period that his Garmin or his whatever he's using is pinging the tower. So if he's got his set at 10 minutes, right, but his stops are less than 10, it's not going to show.
It doesn't show it as
he's going to roll right through.
Yeah.
Which at the time it was just.
Well, when you watch his video too, you can understand that he's not eating any food.
Yeah.
So I thought at one point he had 2 gallons of water.
Yeah.
So I imagine he's drinking as much water as he can. He's filling his bottles, and then he's putting gallon jugs for trail angels or whatever, just leaving them there, and then he's rolling. I mean,
one of the benefits of that, of being that restrictive on your intake is, one of the things I suffer with, especially when I'm tired, is I walk into a gas station, I'm just going, what the fuck am I going to get? There's too many damn things. I know I like this and this, but I don't want this. But when you don't have to choose, it makes a lot of streamline. It removes any kind of decision making, which decision making is part of fatigue anyway.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. No doubt. Speaking of Garmin, Strava dropped its lawsuit.
Oh, they did
this morning.
I think that was in their benefit.
Oh, there's no doubt. I don't know what they were.
But now Whoop is suing Polar.
Are they?
Yep. So
I didn't even know Polar was still around.
Yeah.
They've not been part of the conversation for so long.
They're still big in the world.
Okay.
The wear it watches. And
I watched GCN Global Cycling Network's video where they did a breakdown of the lawsuit between Strava and Garmin, and they had a lot of very valid points that makes more sense now. Strava's dropped their lawsuit, but they were like, "Who's the real benefactor here?" Because people aren't going to quit using Garmin. Nobody's going to go, "Oh, well, I have to have Strava." Strava's shooting themselves in the foot.
Strava's the loser in this. People are going to say, "Do I drop my Garmin or do I drop Strava?" I have Strava.
Yeah. And that was the overwhelming sentiment about it. People were just going to stick with Garmin and find another outlet to utilize, upload their data and stuff.
Well, now Garmin has a paid fitness and analytics.
Oh, do they?
Setting. Yeah. It's an add-on.
Was that part of the reason for the lawsuit?
No. From what I understand, the lawsuit was strictly over heat maps. And well, I don't know that to be accurate. From what I understand. I don't want to say I know. From what I understand, it was basically heat maps.
Did Strava think Garmin was just going to say, "Tell you what, here's a couple million. Let's let it."
Well, that's one of the things they said in the GCN. They said notoriously Garmin has just settled. Historically speaking, there's been multiple lawsuits that have been brought up against Garmin, and they've just settled. And so I think that the thought process was Strava was just going to sue them, and they thought that Garmin was just going to go, okay, and they were going to lay down. Apparently it was worth fighting for, which it is,
I'm not typically a boycott kind of person, because if you try to boycott everything that you don't like, there's not going to be anything for you.
You're running out of options.
Exactly. But I was seriously considering, I was like, do I really need Strava? First off, I'm not super active on social. I'm definitely not active on Strava that much. You tell me all the time, "Did you see my ride the other day?" Nope.
Yeah.
I got to get there and look around.
Speaking of which, I never saw your upload for your last day.
I forgot. I still haven't uploaded it yet.
Because I kept wanting to look at it.
Yeah, I need to upload it. I was kind of getting ready to do it. I'm like, my life's not going to be any, as long as I have Garmin. Yeah. Now, I will tell you this. Strava goes after ride with GPS, I'm done.
Yeah.
I will not. I'm not going to choose a giant behemoth corporate company over what we know is a small mom and pop shop that is, and I'm sorry, ride with GPS is way more important to me than Strava.
But if Garmin would clean up their ecosystem, I think they could have bowed up to Strava a lot harder. But as it stands, and I'm not a tech guy, I don't know if anybody out there knows that, but the whole Garmin ecosystem is so convoluted.
They have too many devices, and they have way too many apps, and they have too many. Like for instance, if you had the when I had the
Messenger,
the inReach Messenger.
Yeah.
Wait, well, how did this work? There was one point in time where I went camping in Colorado, and I just happened to have my Edge in one of my bags, adventure bags. I guess it was the inReach Mini. I had the inReach Mini. I think, did I have something before?
No, you had the Messenger.
You had the black Messenger.
That's right. It was the black Messenger, the little hockey puck.
Okay. That's what I said at the beginning.
I'm sorry, but I was getting it confused with the thing that I have now. I had just the Messenger. My wife could see where I was.
Yeah.
I couldn't see where I was.
Yeah.
There was no way to look on the Explorer or the Messenger app.
When they first released the Messenger, you could use your Garmin apps on the phone, and it would show your plot. And then 6 months down the road, they decided to eliminate that functionality because they didn't. I guess they figured out, people that navigate can still use this when we really want them to be spending $50 more or whatever to get the Mini.
Yeah. And I thought that was absurd. So I went ahead, and there was a sale, and I upgraded to the Messenger. But like their Garmin Connect on the desktop is awful. Like Garmin is not perfect. I'm not.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch.
Yeah, they got a
Well,
lot of
And even
UI
you
issues.
can track your rides and your mileage, and very very similar to Strava, but it's so incredibly difficult to navigate.
Well, that's been the biggest issue with Garmin is their software, their user interface.
Yeah.
There's nothing intuitive about it.
No.
Now I get it. There are people that know it inside and out
Sure.
and can make every toggle do this and know, oh, I right click here and I do this when I'm on an iPhone and I do that when I'm on my computer. Okay, I get that. When I'm riding a bike, I don't want to be jumping through hoops to figure out how to work my shit. But we
Yeah.
also have to keep in mind when you break all of this down, all of this, particularly the cycling, but even the fitness in general, that's a tremendously small part of Garmin's
Oh
business.
yeah.
Yes.
The
They're
A-
all about the data and the map.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
well, aviation and
the
marine.
avionics and marine.
Way
Oh
more
my
profitable.
God.
Yeah.
They make more revenue from one airplane than probably 60% of their cycling business.
Yeah, that's the key.
Back to Apple. You were talking about iPhone.
Yeah.
Did you hear this news? F1 in 2026 is going to be exclusively on Apple TV.
Okay.
So that seems like that's a big bifurcation of their
I
viewing
think that's
audience.
obviously been in the works with the F1 movie and everything like that.
Probably.
So,
I just thought that was an interesting flex for them.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Except for that F1 is mostly viewed by Europeans, and Europeans mostly utilize Android phones.
Well, that would make sense. Then
I think
wouldn't it?
it is mostly, but F1 is surprisingly popular here.
Well,
It is,
I
but if Apple's wanting to get market penetration in Europe, then that
makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're geniuses, right?
I'm going to watch a race. I've never watched an F1 race.
No, I haven't either.
I will watch any sports documentary. I don't care who it
Yeah.
even if it's a sport I don't know anything about. And I've watched a couple of seasons of the
F1
F1 series on, like, someone who knows nothing about. I mean, I watched the NASCAR one too because it's sports documentary. No, don't know anything about NASCAR. The F1 series is great,
Yeah.
even for someone who doesn't know dick about
The
it.
budgets are mind blowing
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
the sheer amount of money spent is insanity.
Yeah, maybe it's something I need to look into. It's just another sport, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are. There go my new contacts. I can't see shit right now. Let's see. How deep into this are we? We are 142. That's kind of our norm. Anything that anybody had on their to-do list or talk about list that we haven't touched on or anything?
Justin's initial plan was to do the rat and then skedaddle to Bentonville. Did he make it to Bentonville?
I don't believe he did because they shortened the race, so it's not worth his time at that point.
Yeah, 50 miles. They did shorten the race to 50 miles because of the weather.
He could do that without a bottle.
And I talked to Nick from yesterday with our weekly meeting, and I said, "Did you guys lose another 10th? Because remember at Bike Fest last year, that tornado came through, and there's so many vendors that lost product." And he goes, "No, they closed down the expo a day early, so they weren't even out there."
Yeah.
when the storm hit.
That's a reminder. A little bit of local news. Our friend Nico.
Uh-huh.
He's about to go out on his own and open a pro service shop here in Argyle.
Hell yeah.
Bike shop?
Bike service shop.
Where's that going to be at?
1186 is there?
What is 11?
That's whatever the
1830.
18.
Oh, I wonder if it's that business park halfway down where like the sports card shop is and the drone.
Probably. But
Shop.
the problem with that is it's not accessible by bike.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to ride on 1830.
I don't know exactly where. I don't know all the details. I just found that out. He'll be opening up next month.
Good for him.
So I think that might be a decent place to maybe host an episode or two.
That would be cool.
And when we really need to talk to somebody that really knows what's
We got to
going
get
on,
somebody in here that knows what they're talking about.
we need somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about, particularly when it comes to wrenching bikes.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
wrenching bikes.
He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to bike parts and wrenching and whatnot.
What's next for Spinistry? What we got?
We have Roadrunner Rocks, November 15th at 4R, which does include the all or nothing option, the 100 miler. We're actually introducing a new feature with this that we're calling our rat loops. where we're going to start focusing our event routes on loops of the Rat, of the Tasha, and the Tuba Trail. So start introducing everybody to those segments. It's like, hey, you like this? You want to get ready for the Rat? We're really going to take, well, all right. We are officially going to have the race across Texas next year.
As opposed to unofficially?
So what the race across Texas will be the stage race.
Okay.
Now, if people want to go out on group depart week and do their ITT group thing like we've traditionally done, where it's an unofficial race for the ITT, it's fantastic. But we're going to do a race across Texas stage race, cumulative time. So if you finish a day in 6 hours, that's your time for that day. Do it like the Tour de France sort of thing. Who knows? Maybe we'll have some KOMs or something like that along the way. But yeah, they'll have their Rat finish, which is the total 9 days or whatever it is to do all the stages. But there'll also be a separate cumulative time, and that will set a new fastest time for stage racers, with the possibility of going super light, because there will be a semi-supported option where we can tote your gear from end to end. So if you just want to hop on the bike and go 110 miles a day, you can go 110 miles a day.
I have many questions, but my first question is day one still going to be Texarkana to Paris?
It would be Texarkana to Clarksville.
Okay.
And it would adjust to roughly 110 mile days from that point on.
Pencil me in.
Okay.
I'm probably going to go do the camp with you guys for a day or two, maybe.
And that's
Probably not going to do the event, but I would like to go and hang out.
That's going to be an option of this stage race as well. Technically, each day is an individual event. So if people want to come up and just do one day with us or 3 days with us in the middle,
Ride a
at the
section.
end, ride a section or two.
Yeah, fun.
So there we go. That's the concept. I need you guys to help me flush it out over the course of the next several months. Okay. Interested, you say?
Yeah, and I immediately have hundreds of ideas and thoughts. Yeah,
that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, I think my first thought is I think everybody needs to provide their own bin, like a standardized bin. That way you can just stack them, they can label them, here's your stuff.
Put that in as a part of a cost, and then you know exactly what size bin.
That's exactly how we did it first year. I had my little runaway camper, and so you had to be limited to a duffel bag, and I think I even sent them the link on Amazon. Here's the duffel bag you need.
I think it should be a bin so you can stack
bins are more practical now. The bin selection wasn't as varied and as affordable then. Now that year Peter got his duffel bag and loaded it all the way across the bottom with canned soups. It was literally a 200-pound bag.
See?
Oh my God, that's great.
Anyway, all right,
that's great.
Let's end on that note. We'll work on
Justin's would just be like 6 kilos of
It was powder. Another cool event that's coming up that I'm going to try if I can make my calendar work is our good friend Dr. Josh Dean up in Bentonville. You know, he's on the board for
the Dropper Doctor.
The Dropper Doctor, Dr. Dropper, brah. You know, he's a board member of FAST, Friends of Arkansas Single Track. And on Saturday, November the 11th, they're doing an event. It's not a race. It's just an event, free event called Loop de Loop. And it's...
I think it's November 10th. Or no, November 8th.
11th. I mean, November 15th.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, that's the same day as Kevin's event that he's trying to promote.
Oh, I'm not going to promote anything.
Go ahead. That's up there in Arkansas.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
If you're up in Arkansas or you'd rather do some mountain bike stuff, it's you do a full loop of tunnel vision in the back 40. It's 50 miles, 5,500 feet of climbing. Free event. Yeah, you can go to fasttrails.org for more information. I'd like to do that. If I can make it happen, I'm going to go up there and do it.
Very good.
If not, if I can't travel, Roadrunner.
Roadrunner it is. I'm going to throw this out there too. I was invited to a Texas Race Promoter Symposium November 9th. And there's already all sorts of interesting drama in the email replies to that. So I wasn't originally going to go because we were supposed to have an event that weekend. But this is just too spicy.
Where is this being held?
Waco. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. I'm just there bringing a big old bag of popcorn.
How so? Give us a little teaser.
So the group that's sent out the invitation as a racing team that recently put on their first race that I'm aware of. Maybe they've done others in the past. And they kind of threw this together a little last minute and ad hoc. You know, they're not even a month's heads up when people already have events scheduled and things like that. But okay, I appreciate. So the idea is to get the race promoters together, maybe coordinate calendars, and I don't know exactly what
So
they have.
everybody's not stepping on everybody's toes.
Yeah, there's lots of small dick energy in the Texas race promoters environment, and I'm not throwing them all under the bus.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a huge bulge here, but there has been an extreme lack of coordination in all of the cycling events for years and years and years. And it doesn't look like that's going to get tremendously better, but they're giving it an effort. So I will where it all goes. There were some positive responses to the invitation, and there were some less than positive responses to the invitation.
Interesting.
So bringing my popcorn. I'm not going to stir no pots myself. I'll just be there observing. And on that note, shall we wrap it up and see how this technology experiment works out, and see if maybe we can do some real deal interviews on the fly going forward?
Everything's going to be fine. All the technology is going to work.
Oh yeah. Even after you spiked it on the ground.
Touchdown!